This is the Stop Time Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Hopkins, and I'm here to engage you in thought-provoking, motivational conversations around practicing the art of living in the moment. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm excited to dig deep and offer insights into embracing who we are and where we are at. Hey everyone, I just wanted to check in with you and thank you so much for being part of my podcast journey. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed speaking with my wonderful guests, and I hope you have as well. It's my pledge to continue to offer you meaningful dialogue with extraordinary people, and I'm excited to give you a glimpse of what's ahead as I pivot for a few episodes to speak with folks who create their magic on the other side of the proscenium. Upcoming guests include music producer and composer Keith Harrison, Broadway producer Tony Marion, and musical artists the Brothers Page. You won't want to miss today's episode with Krista Monson, one of the most relevant creative minds in the entertainment industry today. Thanks again for your continued support, and welcome to episode 9. So today I'm speaking with Krista Monson, who is one of the most relevant creative minds in the entertainment industry today. Her career and experience as a creative director span a wide array of genres, including circus, concert, theater, special events, and social action. Krista spent 13 years with Cirque du Soleil, first as artistic director of O at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, and then as casting director for Cirque du Soleil's resident shows worldwide. She wrote and directed One Night for One Drop, a theatrical event created to raise global awareness around the need for ensuring sustainable access to safe water and sanitation. The event raised $2.1 million in one night. Not surprisingly, in 2012, Krista was featured in the CNN series Leading Women, showcasing outstanding women at the top of their fields alongside Melinda Gates and Sheryl Sandberg. Krista, welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. It is such a huge pleasure to hear your voice.
Oh my gosh, ditto. Thanks so much, really, for spending time with me today on Stop Time. I'm so excited to jump in and get chatting with you.
Me too.
Where were you when you realized that the entertainment industry as we know it was essentially shutting down?
Well, it's a great question, and it's so interesting because everybody has their story. I live in Las Vegas, lived here for 18 years now, and there was kind of a slow drizzle of what's going on when we were all starting to realize that life as we know it may take a little bit of a different turn. But interestingly, I was about to get on a plane to go to fly to New York to start a big project. And I had, I kind of worked through the idea of, okay, a plane will be fine. And the markets were still open in New York City. And I'd called some friends and, things were shaky, but still going. And then 3 hours before I got on the plane, the producer called me and said, don't get on the plane. And so that's when, for me personally, that's when it really hit home.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What would you say, was your first thought or greatest concern, I guess, when that happened?
As selfless as we want to think of ourselves, it was, okay, that moment of what about me, or what's this going to look like? Or, it was a wave of ambiguity, to be honest, just a complete wave of ambiguity, which, to be honest, has not stopped. So that's what it felt. It was just this wave of, okay, this is not just over there or down the street or somewhere an article you read or a news show you watch. It's now affecting me personally. And I think that's what was the first, shock to me. It was just, okay, we're all in this now. We've all been affected.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so curious because you used the word ambiguity, and I heard energy around that as coming up for you. She's smiling. No, it's interesting because on the one hand, as you tell it, it's so not ambiguous. This is happening. You are not. It's black and white. You're done. So talk to me more about ambiguity and how it shows up for you.
Well, it's so interesting, Lisa, that you're honing in on that, because I have struggled, to be honest, in our business. of, even though I've been doing this for 30 years in different ways, I've struggled with that idea, and you're a guru of it, of the journey and not being attached to the outcome, and, playing in the sandbox of creativity, and having some strong ideas, and seeing, trusting where it will land, seeing how things will develop and show up. But even though I knew that in my head, and I know the benefit of that idea as opposed to planning with X's and O's exactly what's going to happen, I don't think that always brings the best work. And so I understood that in my head, but it's always been a big struggle for me to embrace it, kind of with my body and with my own diving into a creative process. But when this happened, it really put a spotlight on that idea of I have, I know this is not a video, but I made a little sheet. I forget where it is now. And it just says the 3 words, I don't know. And as those weeks and months transpired, I would think, oh, I wonder what this will, what about this? Or I wonder when I'll be able to fly, or I wonder this, or what about my family? And literally almost the answer to every single one of those questions was, I don't know. And in some ways that realization of ambiguity continues to be a crutch, like, wanting to figure it out, wanting clarity, doing what we can to gain clarity. But on the other hand, when I'm learning to embrace those 3 words, I don't know, and that ambiguity, it's actually remarkably liberating. And it gives us an excuse. It's just to lower, give ourselves permission to not work in spite of I don't know, but beside it. And that has been a really wonderful journey, I would say. It's not easy, but so I feel ambiguity, collective ambiguity, and that it's not, just me who can't figure it out, or as we all sometimes beat ourselves up thinking, it's just me. I'm the one that, everyone else knows what they're doing and I don't, that little inner voice that we have of doubt and things. But in this case, it was everybody. So I've actually really, really, enjoy that idea of embracing ambiguity as permission to trust even more the path.
Yeah, I love that. I just watched you make a magnificent reframe of seeing the other side, side of how ambiguity is okay and it can serve you, and it just is, right?
That's it. And it's not easy, it's even things our parents used to tell us, this too shall pass, and all those things that we went, oh gosh, we'll save that saying for a later time. It's been fun to all of a sudden hear, voices of all of those little, but little phrases and lines of wisdom that start to, for me anyway, knock on my door, knock on the shoulder, and just say, yeah, it will.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I had kind of, I say quote unquote meditated, because I have this thing in my head that meditating means you need to be sitting on the top of a mountain, which I don't do. But I definitely thought a lot about that phrase, because it stood out to me that phrase, this too shall pass, brings so much comfort during difficult times.
Yeah.
To people. But when it came to me, sitting on the porch, looking at the sunset, watching a cloud moving, and I was like, oh, it's going to pass, this too shall pass. And I thought about the phrase, and I thought about, what if I don't want it to pass? I was feeling wistful. I was like, where does savoring fit into this?
That's super interesting. Yeah, I think it's really super interesting that you realize that, because, or that came to you, that intuition came to you, because I feel the same way. There's a gift in all of this, and I feel it has to do with time and space, and there's been this space carved out for ourselves where we can, submit to the idea that the answers right now, we're all not sure. So what does that allow, that time and that space to allow us to go in and be able, as you said, it's giving ourselves the permission to savor that time and look at it in new ways.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm curious to know how you'll take a deeper learning, forward when life becomes maybe less ambiguous.
Yeah, I'm curious too, and I don't know, I've had a lot of reflection on, as a freelancer
Mhm.
or in our business, and I've embraced that idea of the power of yes, and that the power of yes has great benefit. I mean, I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't saying yes to, a fringe show that was cut of the door, or saying yes to something that scared me a lot and did it anyway. There's a lot to gain from that, I in my own experience, by saying yes. But it's interesting, I'm not 25 anymore, and this time has taught me how instinctual or how much of a habit it is to say yes. And then to have the time to say, what are my priorities? When we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. Or when we say no to something, we're saying yes to something else. And I took the time to think, what, maybe it's just take a pause before it's the automatic yes. Looking at how you want to be aligned with the world, the universe, your work, what inspires you. So it's not, you're proud of not being a chameleon. I'm proud of not being a chameleon anymore, of just saying, this is how these are my values in the work. And how can that lead me, that alignment of my values with the work, as opposed to blindly saying yes to everything because just that's how it's been.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
and one says, one face has a choice. You face either fear or you face regret. And for me, I feel it's easier to face fear than regret, because when regret hits, it's a tough one. On the other side of that, again, as you said, it's just that opportunity to redefine what yes means. And this time in isolation is, we are restricted from doing things. We're restricted from, or the traditional yes. Oh, I'm on a plane. Yeah, I'll do that, and that sounds great. And how are we going to do this? We're going to meet. And now it's saying yes to other ways of working. It's saying no. It's giving ourselves the permission to press pause, and seeing what happens there in that journey. It's not from going to a show anymore or from getting a great gig. It's from reflection and saying to ourselves, this is valid. This is valid.
I mean, my whole thing is about the places where there are spaces.
Oh, love that. Oh, that's beautiful. The places where there are spaces.
That is my mantra. It is my mission. It's probably going to be the name of my book.
I'm writing it down.
Finding grace in the places where there are spaces. I mean, it's funny. I've been saying it for years. In my, as a teacher of dance, it's not about the dancing is in the places where there are spaces.
Wow. That is super cool. Really, really, that's relevant.
I'm glad that resonates with you. I think, it's funny. I figured it would, which is why I'm really super interested in chatting with you as someone who is a visionary, a pioneer, an innovator, someone who does create something from nothing, but not for herself, for all to experience, and creating something for everyone that they didn't even know they needed.
Well, that's it. And I've had the privilege, and I feel thankful that, again, I've worked at in all scales, from, fringe theaters or cut of the door things with a $200 budget to, multi-million-dollar budgets. And for me, the commitment or my own personal investment is the same. And I truly mean it. I still feel at the end of the day, my job, as you said, it's almost an engineer of emotion. My dream is people will walk out just going, wow, that Or I don't know what I just saw, but I felt something that I hadn't experienced before.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm hearing you. The word that comes to mind with what you're saying is essence.
The essence is what you want, for me, the audience to walk away with. But yeah, you're right. It's at the very beginning is what is the essence? What is this little seed? And if everybody is around the table understanding that essence, I'm convinced, then everybody is there to not just execute ideas, they're there to fuel that essence and make it blossom even more.
It's interesting, and maybe this is a whole other episode, but I wrote down when you talked a little while ago about the sort of black and whiteness. It sounded to me like, and you can jump in and say that's not what I meant, but the fear and the regret. You go with the fear, or you're going to regret it. And I'm curious to know if you think there's anything in between that. Is it really one or the other?
Yes, I think, the golden zone is often the gray zone. So yes, I do think there's a space in between there. Yeah. And I mean, we are only human beings, and we make our decisions based on what we know at that time. Mm-hmm. And that's all we got. Yeah. And so it has happened to me a couple of major times where I felt absolutely right about things, and I felt the fear, yet I did it anyway. And I thought, I want to do this. And then I would say it started getting murky. And do I regret it? In hindsight, when that project, let's just say it failed, it didn't work, I had the choice at the end of that to say, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to think and reflect and learn and keep going. Or I can wallow in victimhood and blame people around me. And I would have regretted it if I had chosen to kind of go on the blame train. And this learning will show up in a wonderful new way in another opportunity or another part of my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're speaking to what I do as a performance dynamics specialist, which is working with high performers who are used to succeeding.
Yeah.
And the mastery mindset versus the performance mindset. The performance mindset being, goal-oriented, but not long game. You're absolutely right. You are at choice of how to respond to anything. That's what we control. If you learn how to truly adapt a mastery mindset, which is what you're talking about with the learning. If you knew that no matter what you did, no matter what you chose to do, that you could learn from it, no matter what, before, not after, how would things be different?
Before saying yes, or before that I knew that I would be applying learning to everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Lisa, is it similar to if you knew you wouldn't fail? What would you?
That's exactly what it's similar to.
Okay.
If the goal is to always learn, so even when you make a mistake, it's part of personal growth. It's part of mastery.
Yeah.
To learn.
You really triggered a fundamental question for me, and I think for so many people. So it's it's a vulnerable question. I would probably say the thing that comes up to me in my mind is I would probably have taken more chances to show up less prepared. I would probably take more chances in feeling more naked in workshops, improvising ideas, coming in with a few key ideas and just seeing what happens and trusting that. I would love to pursue that. I would love to have the courage to do that even more and keep on trusting that and learning from that process, infusing that type of process in. It's difficult. It's not impossible, so it's not an excuse. But again, back to producers and budgets and time and things like that, one has to deliver. There's a pressure to deliver. Yeah. So it's not easy.
No, 100%. And it goes right back to that idea of doing whatever you do is connecting that to a value. And I would challenge you to say, there's no doubt in my mind that you are going to get the job done, whatever the job is. I think that's fair to say. Would you agree?
It's fair to say.
So you've proven that. You have a track record of that. So
yeah.
I am not, I'm not arguing with you that there are all these external influences and expectations and all that. But I would encourage you to remember that since you know you're going to get it done, and since you know you're going to make the deadlines, because you're a responsible person. And let me ask you, if the goal wasn't to deliver, because we know you're going to already do that, we know that, we can trust that. If the goal is not to deliver, but the goal is connected to your value of, let's just say, essence for fun, you can fill it in with whatever, of delivering essence, of tapping into that. How does that feel differently to you?
Yeah, it's reframing the paradigm a little bit, a lot actually, and I have to let that absorb. Yeah. I have to be honest, because you are right. Or what when you were talking about that, the delivery, we deliver pizzas. No offense to pizza delivery people. And I would say that's what I've really learned in this process during our isolated time is it wasn't about grinding it out for 8 hours a day and getting that badge of honor. It was just like, that famous word, just show up. And what does that, with nothing done, or that feeling like I have nothing phenomenal to deliver, it's a conversation. Let's talk. Or it could happen in the research phase where you just keep looking and just be quiet, quiet your mind and keep it open and just keep showing up, because it's not about delivering perfect stuff. Just stumble along. It's better than not doing it at all, or feeling this, not allowing the essence maybe to surface in a more beautiful way when it's all about delivery.
Yeah. If you were to always go in and be perfect all the time, then where's the learning? Where's the growth? How can you grow if you've already done it?
I want to learn more about how to apply that kind of trust in making decisions or along the way, as opposed to all in advance because, this is a multi-million-dollar process.
Yeah. Talk to me about nothing's been created yet, that moment, that beautiful moment where you decide to take the leap. Talk to me about that, the places where there are spaces, before anything exists, before anything's born. What does that feel like? I don't need to even, I guess I'm not really talking about your process so much as I'm talking about what you as a human feel like in that moment.
Well, there's definitely a moment where I feel petrified. Well, I shouldn't say that. I would say I get so invigorated talking about if we were going to create something together, we'd say, yeah, we could do it this way, we could do it that way, and we're throwing things out, and let's do it, or it's going to be this, it's going to be we get excited, we share, we exchange, we talk, seeds of ideas are flourishing, there's charges in the air, and then we agree to, or we're going to do it, and we're going to start putting something together, or think about it more, and that's when I'm alone. Yeah. And so in that moment of aloneness, that first moment is, I literally sit down thinking, it's there. I can feel it. We were just exchanging, if it was you and I, Lisa and I were just talking about all these great ideas, and it's in the air, and we were talking about that and that and that. And then for a second, I said, maybe I'm exaggerating, it could be 2 hours, all of those wonderful ideas go away, and I feel like I'm staring at a blank screen or a blank piece of paper, and feeling a little paralyzed. But that's okay. Like I'm okay. I'm okay with that, because I am convinced that those ideas are finding their flow in the rivers of our body and things like that. And but it is I really enjoy the aloneness of kind of taking, lots of ideas or conversation, stimulating conversation, a subject matter that resonates with our values, and we can, where can this go? And then it has to kind of start going through its own kind of little tunnel. So it's a scary moment, but I think it's also, because I'm alone, it's safe. It's safe.
Yeah.
And so I sit with that. I keep saying, it's safe. It's safe. This is normal. I know myself that way. And, so I sit with the safety. I reassure this is not threatening. There's no fight. I don't need to fight or flight here, even though I'm saying I was a bit paralyzed, but I have to kind of have that conversation of, it's safe. This is, let you stay, I give myself permission to stare at that blank screen or page for a little bit. And slowly, it just starts to evolve, or it's a very sensory type of thing where you with your own self too, how, what you react to, and what type of research you want to start with. Sometimes it's a poem, sometimes it's a piece of music, sometimes it's a visual idea. And that's when it gets quite fun for me, just finding connections in the work, like finding connections with that resonate for you personally, that get me excited with, I know, the subject that, say, the producers decided on, and that's a fun time. I would say that's one of the really fun times, is being alone and letting, feeling safe to find different connections that get you excited.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have a couple of questions for you. A couple more questions.
Go for it.
What do you know will be true about you no matter what happens?
What do I know to be true forever? I know that I always care. What I feel is consistent is that I care about the person sitting in the corner, kind of empathize with the room, and that will direct me. I don't know if it's compassion or care, but it's also, it has both sides. I mean, it sounds like it's a wonderful virtue, and it is. I mean, I'm proud of it, but it's also something that will take me off another path, because I'm really attentive to something that's going on over there. And so I feel, Lisa, that I think it's just always been very consistent. In fact, when things get a bit crazy, or there's 7 journalists in a row, and then a dinner, and then I just want to get off that train, and I want to go pick up my son from basketball. Like if I had a dream in that moment, it'd be, I want to be at the YMCA right now. Or
that'd be the bubble.
Yeah, exactly. And I enjoy that, so I really enjoy it. So I feel as though that would be, but it's such a fascinating question. I think I would make things. I think I like to build. Yeah. And that's why when, I was a choreographer for a long time, and then I was with as the artistic director, and then I asked to pilot a casting department. And I thought, I've never dreamed of being a casting director. Hasn't been a goal of mine, and I really enjoyed it. I found it to be actually quite creative and very much a learning experience. But the idea of building the department, I mean, it was a department, but building a vision for that, I realized that I like to build things. Yeah. So an herb garden or a show, or
that's awesome.
Our kids, or I think that would remain. I think that's what I would be doing.
Yeah, I love that. It's so passé to say well-rounded, but it's such a great expression, because isn't that the ultimate goal, is to not only feel this way here and that way there, but to bring you to everything you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm realizing in terms of learning, we moved to Los Angeles in 2001, and we had a 1-year-old son. We sold everything. We sold all our belongings in Canada. We thought we would rather be a little fish in a big pond than a small fish in a big pond. So anyway, we were crazy and drove to Los Angeles, and got out of the car and realized that this is a whole different world. And we really, truly had to start from the beginning. And I wouldn't even tell people I had a child, because I had been in rooms where people were deciding who to bring on this project, or who could fly to France for this project. And I was witness to someone saying, well, I don't think we'll get her because she's a new mother, so she probably won't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And so they wouldn't even ask her, because they assumed, oh, she's a new mother, she probably wouldn't want to do it. And I said to myself in that moment, I literally cannot afford to be assumed that can't do it. We need work. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't tell any. I probably told 4 people, and this is about our son. I mean, this is ridiculous. Talk about regret. I don't think he suffered from it. I didn't hide him in a suitcase when we went public or anything. But I mean, we went to parks and we had a great life, but it was talk about binary, it's separate. Yep. For a long time, it was 10 years. And then finally I was actually working on my website of all things. And the designer said to me, who's a friend of mine, she said, well, what do you want to put here? You know, that you have your family and you did this and this. And I literally looked at her like she had 8 heads. And I said, no, I'm not going to talk about my family, because I had, again, witnessed those conversations where it wasn't, someone else got the job. I guess that's kind of a regret, I would say, or a great opportunity to learn, to say, of course. I mean, now it's foolish. It's so now, back to what you were saying, now that idea to embrace that well-rounded who we are, mm-hmm. all of not just our roles, but who we are and what deeply matters to us. It's all okay. And we don't have to hide it.
Thank you for sharing that. Because I mean, it's not uncommon, first of all, but it's the no. And it's, so don't beat yourself up. It's the absolute definition of limiting belief, though. A limiting belief is exactly what you just described. They won't hire me. They don't hire women that have children. And if we all live by our limiting beliefs, so many things, we never would have had Obama in the White House. Et cetera, et cetera. Jesse Owens never would have broke whatever the mile is. And limiting beliefs are something that we believe for a while, for whatever reason, and we explore those, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're important to revisit. So you're revisiting it now, and you're saying that limiting belief is no longer serving me. It probably served you at the time.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's okay. There's no point in spending energy on regret, because A, it's in the past, and B, that's truly what you believed. Mm-hmm. And what we do, as coaches, is we identify the limiting beliefs that are holding us back now so that we can move forward.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Listen, as we near the end of our episode, I love to ask my guests what your top 3 things of today were.
My top 3 things today. Looking at our son's new keytar. It's a guitar with a keyboard.
Oh, cool.
And so he's exploring the keytar. That was exciting. That was top. First, I love my first cup of coffee in the morning. It's always a beautiful ritual. And watering my plants in the backyard.
I love that. The simple things, right? That bring us joy. That's beautiful. I love that. What one thing are you most looking forward to today?
I'm looking forward to purging a couple of ideas that are brewing that I need to release, get out, that are percolating. So I'm really excited about that. And then I'm going on a bike ride. I like working hard and playing hard.
Yeah, this has been so wonderful. And I am truly, truly grateful for the opportunity to have spent this time together with you today on Stop Time, and to learn more about you. And it's just been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Lisa, it has been a privilege in more ways than you know. I just value so much what you're bringing the world.
Oh, thank you, Krista. It really means a great deal. I've been speaking today with Krista Monson. Thanks for listening. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. In music, stop time is that beautiful moment where the band is suspended in rhythmic unison, supporting the soloist to express their individuality. In the moment, I encourage you to take that time and create your own rhythm. Until next time, I'm Lisa Hopkins. Thanks for listening.